Good day, everyone. This is Miss I, and welcome to our reading and writing subject. So, for today, we will be discussing lesson 6, which is about the properties of a well written text. And here's our objectives. First is to define organization, coherence and cohesion, language use, and language mechanics, and the purposes and advantages of the properties of a well written text. So we will be talking about this for today. We have organization, coherence and cohesion, language use, and language mechanics. So let's first look at organization. So when we see organization, it simply refers to the arrangement of ideas in a particular text. Okay, so now when your ideas are organized in a text, that means that you achieve this because the ideas that you included in that particular text are logically and accurately arranged. Now, let's look at these two terms that are highlighted, no? Blue colored in the second bullet, logically and accurately. So when we say logically, this means that the arrangement that you just did has a particular purpose. Okay? It serves a particular purpose. So you might think, why did you arrange it in such a way? No? So meaning there is a reason behind your arrangement. That's why we say it logically. And that particular reason enables your readers to better understand it. Because as they go through your text, the way that you arrange the ideas in your text, no, it makes sense for them. Okay. So now, ano naman yung accurately? So when we say accurately, we simply refer to having it follow a particular text structure. Okay. If you would remember our previous discussion in lesson 5, we have discussed about text structures. Okay, so it's easy for your readers to understand what the text is all about just through the arrangement of your ideas. Okay, so now that is what organization is all about. Ideas now that is ideas are well developed when there is a clear statement of purpose, position, facts, examples, specific details, definitions, explanations, justifications, or opposing viewpoints. Okay, so just like what I've mentioned earlier, no, a purpose, your position, what exactly are the ideas standing up for? No, the facts um are there facts presented? Is it giving out examples? Are there specific details that will support all these statements? Or is there a definition or are there definitions? Are those definitions or terms or ideas explained? Are there any justification for whatever idea was indicated in your text? Or are there opposing viewpoints that are explicitly or implicitly stated? Okay, so all of those things you have to recognize that when there is a clear statement of all the things I've mentioned in practicing organization. Okay, so if you would have noticed, I mentioned explicitly and implicitly. No, let's try to have a deeper sense of explanation or discussion about that. Ano ba yung explicit? Ano ba yung implicit? Okay, so let's start with explicit. When we say explicit, this is clear or direct explanation or situation. No? When we say implicit, ito yung ini-implied. No? Hindi diretsahang sinasabi. Kumpara sa explicit, na kung hindi ka gusto, hindi ka talaga gusto. That's the right words or the exact words that will be thrown at you. No? Kapag naman implicit, indirect siya. Kumbaga, pinapahagingan ka lang. Ikaw na yung mag interpret nun. No? Let's have an example for this one. Explicit. I said, if you don't give me a pay raise, I leave. No, sabi nung girl is very explicit, very direct. No, kung hindi mo ako bibigyan ng mas mataas na sahod or dagdag sahod, magre-resign ako or aalis ako. Okay? Kumpara dito sa implicit, which is again, indirect or ini-imply lang, hindi diretso ang sinasabi sa'yo. The boy said, if you don't show more appreciation, I'll review my options. The girl said that's quite implicit. Okay, so hindi niya diretsahang sinabi na kung hindi mo ako bibigyan ng mataas na sahod ay magre-resign ako. Ang way ng pagkakasabi niya, ini-imply niya lang na kung hindi mo ipapakita na naa-appreciate mo yung efforts ko sa trabaho or yung um, tagal ng pagtatrabaho ko or yung bigat ng mga nagagawa ko sa aking workload, sa aking position, and then I'll review my options. Ibig sabihin, may iba pa siyang trabaho na pwedeng mapasukan. Okay, nagdadalawang isip na siya. Hindi niya directly sinabi. So that's implicit. Ini-imply niya lang yung intentions niya. Okay? So have you understood the difference between explicit and implicit? Okay, I hope so, no? So let's continue. Okay. So in this slide, how can we say that a particular text is well organized? Okay. So there are certain aspects or elements that we can look into. Take for example, you can look into the physical format. Okay. So when we say physical format, this is how the text physically appears. That simply refers to what you can see once you are presented with the text. Okay, so what can you see without even reading the text itself? What can you see right away? It might include how your text is divided. So for example, yung paragraph mo ba is nasa correct na order? Yung paragraph mo ba is merong introduction, body, and conclusion? Yung paragraph mo ba is divided in a way that it would be easy for the readers to understand? Or the ideas are organized in a way that it is easy to understand? Okay? So yun yung physical format. It might even include the font that you are using or the borders that you are using, no? The margins that you are using. So things like that may also affect the way people view the organization of your particular text. Next, we have this signal words. Okay, so this second one, the signal words are simply words that help you transition from one idea to another. Okay, so our signal words could be words that serve as a cue for you to understand the next idea. So it's the cue and ordering of events and concepts or ideas in your text. That's the signal words. Next, the third one, you can also look at the structure. It could be the complete framework of the text. So by structure, we can simply refer to the previous lesson which we discussed, no, which is the text structure or which are the text structures. Okay? Is it narrative in format? Is it descriptive? Is it cause and effect? And so on and so forth. So you can assess that by reading the entire text and see if it really did have this complete framework that supports the purpose of writing the text in the first place. Okay? So again, these three physical format, signal words, and structure is the answer to our question, how can we say that a particular text is well organized? Okay, so let's go to coherence. When we say coherence, it simply refers to the relationship of ideas between sentences. Okay, so the first one, which is organization, it's the arrangement of ideas. How is it physically arranged? Okay, now for coherence, we are simply referring to the relationship of ideas. Okay, so after you arrange it, which is the first one, no, yung organization, now, how are these ideas related in the first place? Okay, particularly between or among sentences. That's coherence, okay, the relationship of ideas. Coherence may also refer to the overall sense of unity in the passage, including both the main point of sentences and the main point of each paragraph. So when we say coherence, it's the overall sense of unity. Okay? Do all of the ideas that you have presented in your text, do they match each other? Do they serve the same purpose? Those are some of the few questions that you can look into. Okay, so how are the ideas that you have presented related to one another? So just make sure that they are all supportive of each other or they all support one another. So the next one we have cohesion. Kung ang coherence Okay, so first and foremost, do not mistake coherence and cohesion. No, ito ay magkaiba. These are two different things. You should not be mistaken the coherence for cohesion or the cohesion for coherence. Okay? So, kung ang coherence ay yung relationship ng mga ideas, eto namang cohesion is the grammatical and lexical relationship between ideas. Okay? Or between different elements of a text that works to hold it together. Okay? Again, ang coherence ay tumutukoy sa relationship ng mga ideas na inorganize mo, which is the first step, right? Or the first one we talked about earlier. And ito namang cohesion, this is the grammatical relationship o yung technicalities na. Okay? When we say grammatical and lexical relationship, again, these are the technicalities of presenting the text. No? Gumamit ka ba ng tamang grammar? Gumamit ka ba ng tamang spelling? Gumamit ka ba ng tamang punctuation marks? And so on and so forth. Hindi lang yon, no? Moreover, did the words that you use best represent the idea that you want to relate to your readers? Okay, so basically that's what you look into when we are trying to find out if the text is cohesive in nature. Okay, so let's take a look at the following example and try to figure out if this particular text is cohesive, coherent, or both. I am a doctor. A doctor works in the hospital. A hospital is a place where patients go. The patient is a person who is sick. Sick is an adjective. Ano kaya ito? Cohesive, coherent, or both? Do you have answers na? Okay. So looking at the individual sentences, you can see that all of these sentences are grammatically correct. Okay. Therefore, they are cohesive or the context is cohesive. However, you can still see that the ideas of each sentence don't match with one another, or rather, they don't support one another to come up with the one complete idea for the entire text. Therefore, this example is cohesive but not coherent. Okay? Now, how exactly do we arrange the details in the text that we are producing? So, like what I have mentioned earlier in terms of organization or the structure that you're going to follow depends on the purpose that you have in mind. Okay? So, what's the reason for writing the text in the first place? Okay? Tatanungin mo muna yung sarili mo bago mo i-arrange yung mga details na ipepresent mo. Okay? Is it gonna be for fun? Is it gonna be for leisure or something? Is it gonna be informative? Is it gonna be describing something? And so on and so forth. So you have to know the purpose first. Okay? And there are many ways, there are many orders that we can follow. Take, for example, this one, chronological order. So when we say chronological order, again, it simply refers to the time element. Okay? How are the details arranged in terms of the time? Okay? So basically, they should be arranged in the order in which they happen when you are following the chronological order. Okay? So the next one is spatial order. When we say spatial order, if chronological order refers to time, spatial order refers to geographic location or the geography of the details. Okay? So take for example, is it in the left or is it on the right? Is it up or down? Okay. So sometimes we present details in this manner because we want to give our readers a sense of being there in that particular element or in that particular place or particular setting. Okay. That's why we incorporate the spatial order in writing our text. All right, so the next one is empathic order. When we say empathic order, you simply arrange your details to emphasize certain points, depending on, of course, again, the writer's purpose. Okay, so you are looking into the importance of particular details and you arrange them. Okay, so take for example from least to the most important, or the most important to what you think is the least important detail. Okay, so there's emphasis. You're trying to emphasize certain points in the particular text that you're going to be producing. That's empathic order. Okay, so I have here an examples, no? So try to figure out which particular order was used in each of these texts. Okay, so I'll be reading this to you. My alarm clock was set for PM instead of AM, so I woke up really late. I just threw some clothes and ran out the door. I rode my bike as fast as I could and thought that I was going to be late for sure. But when I got there, everyone was outside and there were fire trucks up in front of school. I guess somebody pulled the fire alarm because class started. It worked out though because nobody really noticed or minded that I was tardy. Okay. So have you figured it out kung anong particular order ang ginamit dito sa example natin? Okay, so if your answer is chronological order, then you're correct. The first thing that happened is he woke up late, no? Get ready, rode bike to school, so people saw people outside, right? So here's another example. Sige, let's test your understanding. The inside of Bill's refrigerator was horrible. On the top shelf was a 3-week-old carton of milk. Next to it sat slice of melon that had started to get moldy. To the right of the melon sat the remains of the macaroni and cheese dinner that had been served a week earlier. On the shelf below was the slice of cake from his sister's birthday party. Though there was food, none of it was edible. Okay? Ano kaya ito? Anong naisip nyo? Okay. So if you're going to look at the words and phrases that are in red, then these are prepositions. Okay? Preposition prepositions that we use to describe certain areas, places, or spaces. Therefore, this one follows the spatial order. Okay? Okay. So let's take a look at this one, the next one, no? After looking at all the brochures and talking to several salesmen, I decided to purchase an SLR camera. For several years, I had been dissatisfied with the results I was getting from my point and shoot camera. The framing was imprecise and the focus was not always accurate. I had planned a vacation to an area that promised many fabulous photo opportunities and I wanted to capture each one with accuracy. But the most important reason I decided on the SLR camera was the great versatility it offered. Okay, how about for this third example? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this text, on the other hand, follows the empathic order. Okay, all right, so let's move forward to another element that we can utilize when producing well written texts, which are signal devices. Okay, signal devices are simply words that give readers an idea of how the points in your paragraphs are progressing. Okay, so signal devices are words that showcase how one idea goes or relates to another. Okay, and eventually that would lead to the conclusion or to the ending of your text, right? So signal devices could be in terms of transition words or transitions, repetitions, of certain words, no, certain elements or certain phrases. This could also be synonyms, the use of synonyms as well as the use of pronouns. Okay, so let's take a look at all these examples of signal devices. Let's go first with transition words. Okay, so when we say transition words, this could be words that refer to time. Examples of which are presented in here. Okay, or words that refer to sequence. How is it gonna be arranged, or how does one idea transition to the next one? Okay. And next, you can also use words that refer to space. Take, for example, above, next to, below, behind, beside, etc. Okay. There are also words that we can use for illustration. Okay. When we say illustration, you are simply giving examples, exemplifying the idea. Okay. Such as, for instance, specifically, for example, name, in this case, to illustrate, etc. Okay, the next one, you can also use words that actually compare. Okay, and then of course, when you compare, you're not only giving the similarities, you can also give out the differences. Okay, so we have these words similarly, also in the same way, still, likewise, in comparison to, etc. So the third one, in contrast, you can also use this particular transition words. But, despite, however, even though, yet, on the other hand, although, on the contrary, otherwise, conversely, etc. Okay? And there are also words that refer to causes and effects. Okay? So take, for example, the words because, as a result, consequently, then, so, since, etc. These are some of the words that you can use to transition. Next, and of course, there are also words that we can use to conclude the text that we are writing, okay? Or even the ideas that we are writing. When we say conclusion, that means we are trying to end it, no? We are trying to finalize everything, okay? Thus, therefore, in conclusion, in short, etc. Okay. So the next element or the next signal device that we can use are repetitions. When we say repetitions, of course, from the word itself, repeat, that means it's happening over and over again, or we're doing it over and over again. Okay? So repetitions as signal devices could simply be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be a full sentence. Okay? So sometimes, or usually, if the writer wants to be poetic in nature, it could be a poetical life, okay, or creative image, or then it could be a poetical line, right? Now, these words, phrases, sentences, or poetical lines are repeated because they want, or the writer wants to emphasize the significance or the importance of this particular word, phrase, or sentence in relation to the entire text. Okay? 'Di ba? Kahit naman tayo paulit-ulit tayo because we want to emphasize something. Gusto nating ibigay yung importansya ng isang word or ng isang phrase, okay? So there's an emphasis on the importance. You repeated it because you want to tell your readers that you have to remember this because this is very important in relation to the idea of the text itself. Okay? Now, repetitions of main ideas particularly keep continuity and highlight important ideas. And when we say continuity, since you are repeating it over and over again, okay, you are trying to assure your readers that all of those ideas are connected to one another. Okay, so I'll be giving you examples of repetitions in a text. First one, if you think you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Okay, I highlighted na yung mga repeated words or phrases dyan para mas mabilis ninyong manotice. Number two, the boy was a good footballer because his father was a footballer and his grandfather was a footballer. Number three, the judge commanded stamping his mallet on the table. Order in the court, order in the court. Okay, the fourth one, the president said, work, work, and work are the keys to success. Okay, so let's go to the next signal device, which are synonyms. Okay, somehow you are familiar with this one. Synonyms are simply, as we all know, no? Again, I know you're familiar with this. These are words that have the same meaning. Okay, they share the same meaning. So these words that are similar in meaning could be important words or phrases that we use, no? Because we don't want to practice too much repetition. Okay? So you might be confused with that. Ma'am, sabi nyo kanina, repetition could be used as a signal device. Okay, so yes, it could be used as a signal device only for important words or phrases. Okay, however, there are times when you use too much of something. No, when you try to repeat things over and over again, it could be very tedious, right? So what do we do to avoid full-on repetition? When we say full-on repetition, this is the use of the same words, no? You use the same technique to express the importance of this particular idea. Okay. Now, to avoid doing that, we utilize synonyms. Okay. We try to substitute certain words with synonyms so that when the readers go into that, even if the idea is repeated, the words are not. Okay. So it prevents tedious repetitions. Okay, so consider the following example and try to identify the synonyms that were used. Hold on, let's have this one. Now, kids, children, present, gift. Oh, nice. New phone. Was it expensive? It was quite pricey, but not as dear as my last phone. Okay, so yung naka-brown colored words, yun ang synonymous to each other or to one another. And now we're down with our last signal device. And this is, or these are the pronouns. Okay? So, just like synonyms, you are somehow familiar with pronouns dahil elementary pa lang tayo ay pinag-uusapan na natin yan or itinuro na sa inyo ng mga teacher nyo yan. So basically, we define pronouns as words that we use to replace nouns. Okay? And nouns are simply words that are names for certain things, objects, people, places, etc. Okay? So now, pronouns are very important in producing a well-written text. Why? Because these are words that connect readers to original words. Okay? And especially if, again, we want to avoid tedious repetition, we utilize synonyms and pronouns. Okay? So some of the most common pronouns that we use include the following. Okay, I'll give you time to read this one. Okay. Okay, so now let's go with language use. When we say language use, this simply refers to how appropriate is the word or vocabulary that we are using in relation to the text itself. Okay? When we use the correct term, then we use the correct vocabulary to present the ideas that we want to relay or um ideas that we want to express, no, in order to give out information that we want to relay. Okay, so meaning when we are writing text, the words that we use need to support the purpose that we have in mind. Okay, again, because our main goal in writing a text or producing a text is making other people understand what we want them to understand. Okay, so if that's our main goal, then we have to ensure as writers, we have to make sure that the words that we are using could be easily understood by our readers. Okay, so basically your language use refers to that one. Now, in terms of language, it could be informal. Now, let's start with this one. By informal, no, we mean using words that are direct and simple, and usually informal language is used when it comes to writing for your own, okay? Or even writing to your family, friends, colleagues, or yung mga pinaka-close mo, no? That's informal language. So basically, this type of language is used when we want to talk to or if we want to relay information, ideas to people whom we share an intimate relationship with or a close relationship with. Okay? So, meaning the relationship that you have with those people who will be reading the texts that you have produced is already established, no? Sa mga ka-close lang natin tayo, informal. Siyempre, the second one is formal, no? Saan ba natin ginagamit ang formal language? So, of course, for academic texts, no? Usually, yan ang ni-utilize natin or yung ginagamit nating type of language. Okay, when we say formal type of language, this is an unbiased language, okay, because it really follows or it strictly adheres to the rules of language use. Okay, that's why formal language is what we use in writing academic texts, business texts, and even government and official texts. Okay, so let's see the differences among the many ways we use language. For this example, the text message, I'm going to the store. Is there nothing you need? Okay? So, yung mga nanay natin or tatay natin or yung mga nakakatanda somehow, ganito silang mag-text, no? Or gumamit ng phone. Ganito yung text construction nila. So, sa informal language, our translation with the text message would be, I'm going to the store. What you need? Okay, parang tropa lang 'no, or sa mga kapatid, sa nakakabatang kapatid, pinaka-close na kaibigan, okay. But in formal language, we use, "I am going to the store. Is there anything you would like me to pick up for you?" 'No, halimbawang boss mo yung kakausapin mo, ganyan dapat formal dapat yung, um, pagkakabuo mo ng message, okay. Pero kung tropa lang close naman, classmate, no? Just use the informal language. Okay? So I know it's easy to understand naman, but with examples, you'll have a deeper sense of it. Okay? So the next one or the last one, no, is the language mechanics. When we say language mechanics, these are simply the correct and proper use of the technicalities of the language. Okay. So take for example elements such as the spelling, punctuation marks, and capitalization. No. So these are just three of the basic things that we have to consider when we are writing our text. Okay. So these are the three things in relation to the mechanics of language that we have to look into. Now, in terms of spelling, you need to make sure that you are consistently using one standard with regards to the spelling of your words, no? Kasi, di ba, kung manonotice ninyo, there are different spellings in one word, no? For example, okay? So, what do we mean by consistently using one standard? Now, for spelling, take for example, with regards to using the English language. Okay, so as we all know, there are different types of English language. It could be British English, American English, or even us here in the Philippines, we have our very own take on how English should be used. Okay. So in terms of spelling, you have to be consistent with that. Take for example, in the British language, sometimes they add the letter U. Okay. For example, the word color. Sa British English, ang spelling nila ng color ay C-O-L-O-U-R. No, may U. But in American English, it's simply spelled as C-O-L-O-R. Okay? So if you use one type of English already, then just settle for that one. Okay? Be consistent with that particular standard. So the next one is punctuation. No, when we say punctuation, this is simply the use of different symbols to present the particular sentences that we are going to write. Now, in terms of writing a well written text, punctuations are very important because we use them based on the impact and thought you want to emphasize in your text. Okay, so it's also representative of the essence of the ideas itself. Okay, so sometimes the improper use of punctuations may lead to misinformation or worse, lead to misunderstanding. Okay, which later on I'll be showing to you in the next few slides. I indicated or I added some examples kung paano nagli-lead sa misunderstanding ang incorrect usage of punctuation. So for the third one, capitalization, this is also important, no? When we say capitalization, this simply refers to the use of lowercase and uppercase, no? So there are certain rules that we need to follow in terms of using capitalization, and also there are certain rules that we need to follow in using punctuation as well, no? So sa capitalization, we always have to consider the conventions in capitalizing such as proper nouns and titles, no? Kasi lagit-lagi yan, capital letter or uppercase letter. Okay? So these three are the basic things that we have to look into in terms of language mechanics. The spelling, the punctuation, the capitalization. Okay? Again, these are very important because it's a matter of representing the idea itself, the meaning behind the text, no, behind the word, behind the sentence, or even the entire paragraph. Okay, so as writers or producers of texts, we have to be careful with our spelling, punctuation, and our capitalization. Okay, so as promised, here are our examples of the um wrong usage of punctuation, okay, or capitalization and spelling. Sige. Let's have these examples. And pictures, no, from the internet. And I also included some that best illustrate the importance of the proper use of language mechanics. I hate spelling errors, so I said, please shut the door. Okay, instead of shut, no? Wrong spelling. Shoplifters will be prostituted. Next, help a thief. Yay! Why aren't you arresting him? Commas, lady. Okay, dapat help, comma, a thief. No, punctuation mark, punctuation mark. Or exclamation mark rather, exclamation mark. Nalito yung pulis. Ano ba, ikaw ba humihingi ng tulong o pinapatulungan mo yung magnanakaw kasi walang comma yung help a thief mo? Okay. Curriculum vitae, my interests include cooking dogs, shopping, dancing, reading, watching movies. Okay. Dapat ay cooking, comma, and then dogs. Okay. Hindi cooking dogs, niluto mo na yung aso. Alright. So next, let's eat grandpa. Let's eat grandpa. Commas, they save lives. Woman without her man is nothing. Woman without her man is nothing. It's time to eat, children. It's time to eat, children. Okay, what's the capital of Texas? T. Capitalization is very important. I helped my Uncle Jack off a horse. How nice of you to do that. I helped my Uncle Jack off a horse. Oh, God. All right. Okay, so that's our lesson 6. I hope you are still here at the end of our online class discussion or synchronous class. That's it for today. Thank you and goodbye.